Hi, panel of evaluators. I'm here and I made this video for you to talk about some of the ways you can up-level your evaluation of the panel discussion coming up on the first Friday in November. I thought this might help you, give you some ideas, and of course you can always contact me prior to our meeting if you have further questions. But let's get started. There are some things that I want you to understand about why I do this work and what I hope you take away. The first is that great evaluation techniques are learned. For everyone that gives a great evaluation, they have studied it, they know the steps, and they know the parts. We're doing a panel discussion, and so I thought I'd put together a unique set of things to consider for our panelists and also for you as a panel of evaluators. I say this a lot, but your job as an evaluator is not to strengthen your relationship to the speaker, but to strengthen the speaker. If you strengthen the speaker, by default, you strengthen the relationships. Some of the relationships that I've had that have really blossomed are those where I give unconditionally constructive feedback, because most people are yearning to get feedback as a speaker that helps them get better. We are advanced Toastmasters, and we often get simplified evaluations that as speakers who are either paid, do this regularly, or seek to really up our game, don't feel like we're getting what we need. That's not what we're going to do. So we're going to be unconditionally constructive and strengthen the speakers on this panel. You'll have 2 to 3 minutes each as an evaluator. You're going to be focused on one person on the evaluation team, but you're also going to give some overall thoughts. And you'll have 2 to 3 minutes. That's how long an evaluation is. And when you think about that, you're going to think, wow, that doesn't seem like a lot of time when you see how much information I'm going to give you to consider. But it's a huge amount of time to make a big impact if you're prepared. And that's what I'm hoping this little webinar will do for you. And finally, I love to say this, take the best and leave the rest. What I have to say today may not serve you. You may not need it. But if there is something that ups your game, then I have done my job. Now I want to talk about some considerations both for the speaker and for yourself as an evaluator. We speak at about 120 words a minute. So word choice and getting to the point will make your message and passion evident. In an evaluation of a panelist, they don't have much time either. They don't have time to write a big story for us. They're not getting 5 to 7 minutes. This panel, they'll be asked a question, they're expected to answer it, build on what they heard, and help the moderator deliver a cohesive message for us. So word choice and getting to the point is really important, both for you and them. You only have 2 to 3 minutes. 3 minutes max is 360 words. Seems like a lot unless you go off script, so to speak, and start talking about things that don't matter. But you can do this. And when you do it, your passion will be evident and you will be appreciated. Be good, be brief, be memorable, not only as a speaker, but as an evaluator. When you bring value to a speaker, they could not be more thankful. And it doesn't take long to pick 1 or 2 things that will help them. And be in control of yourself, your content, and your time to the very end. Don't rush. Don't be afraid you don't have enough time. Watch the timer. You have 2 to 3 minutes. You better hit 2 or you'll hear from me as your general evaluator. But you don't need to do much more than 3. You only have 1 person to evaluate in a panel. Give some overall thoughts. Certainly you have till 3 minutes, 30 seconds, but be really crisp in your delivery because that's what I'm going to be looking for from you as an evaluator. And in preparation for your role as an evaluator, think about how you're going to introduce your comments, how you're going to provide your feedback, and your conclusion. And remember, it's as important for the evaluator to catch the attention of the audience as it is the speaker. How many times have we heard evaluators who are more excited than the speaker? That's not good either. But we're not here to say the speakers should have a level of enthusiasm. I'm here to say, as my evaluation team, I want to see you have a level of enthusiasm. And because we can only take in so much at any one time, limit your feedback of ways to get even better to 2 things. I'd rather have you go deep than wide. I have 5 things that'll make you a better panelist. Don't do that. 1 or 2 will be enough to be memorable and really help your speaker. And remember, end on a positive note and a call to action. Let that speaker know that you are specifically focused on, that you believe in them and they can do it. And you will stress important words that you have to say with power, pause, pace, and pitch. Your pitch is really important. If you say something and you end and your pitch goes up, I think you did a really good job. Do you? I think you did a really good job. And I focused on really good job. And here's where I think it could even get better. Those kind of pace and pitch will really help your speaker. Now, why should a speaker listen to you? What's in it for them? Well, you need to give them a compelling reason to use your feedback. If your feedback is too general, if it's something they've heard over and over, that might not be effective. We'll know who the panelists are. We'll get you their names. You're welcome to contact them and say, as a panelist, what do you want me to watch for? I always do that. Now, whether the speaker decides to get back to me, that's not my deal, but at least I ask. That panelist may be looking for something specific from you. Make sure you answer their question if you ask them. Second, limit your pitch, not the pitch of your voice, but the one or two things they can improve so that they can remember them. You can always write out your notes. In fact, I think you should. And if you've got more to say, send those along. But verbally, when you're giving feedback, one or two things. And if you're going to give a specific idea for improvement, tell me why I should do it. Why is that important as a speaker to do that? When you do that, you make me say, that's right, instead of, you're right, Vicki, I should have done that. That's right, I should do that. I should pause more when I say something that I think is important. And if I'm doing mannerisms that aren't effective, let me know and tell me how to improve them. Finally, your close, aka your kapow. How will you finish your comments? Make sure that you are positive and you create a call to action. As an evaluator, finish on a high note and remind the person you evaluated what they can do to try out some of the concepts you had. And I want you to finish as strongly as you start. Make sure that you're controlled, that you're clearly done, you didn't rush, and you start and finish as strongly. One, it's a great model of how it should be done, but two, you will feel in control. Now, I want to talk about the analysis and content of your presentation as an evaluator. These are the things to think about. Don't have to answer all these questions, but I'll give you this deck so that you can print it out, decide what you want to focus on. But did the speaker answer the question they were asked by the moderator? Was their answer informative? And did they use a sufficient knowledge did they have a sufficient use of logic, facts, examples, or an expert opinion to prove their point? If I said to you, the earth is flat, I know this. What? I told you the earth is flat. There's no logic for you. There's no facts. It's just my opinion. And expert opinions, facts, and logic go a long way to the audience to say, I get that. Was the information that they provided adequately documented? Meaning, did they really seem to be in control of what they were providing? Or did they start throwing facts out? And was the information they provided pertinent to the topic that they were given? Did they do a good job in answering the question? Now, the organization of their speech. Their introduction. When they began, did they get your attention? Was the topic clearly stated to them and did they answer it? Or did they ask a qualifying question or a clarifying question, which is totally fine in a panelist? And did the speaker settle, give a preview of what they were going to say, and then focus on their key ideas to prove their points? In the body of their delivery, were the divisions clear and appropriate to the topic? If it was a multi-part answer, could you tell where they started and stopped? And did the speaker make effective use of those transitions, or did you feel that they were just reading off a list to you? And was adequate time given to them to give their answer? Finally, did you hear a logical progression in their ideas? If you give me 7 facts that I don't see how they build on one another, it's going to be much harder for me to remember. So look for a logical progression. And then in their conclusion, did the speaker tie their points together? Could you see how their answer was its own piece within the panel? And was their answer to the question clear? Could have been really interesting, but did it answer the question? And when they were done, was there a note of finality? Something like, in conclusion, I believe the power of coaching is not in the coach, but in the player who believes that they can get even better. That's clearly, I'm done. I might say, Madam Moderator, I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know how they're prepared. Excuse me, not my concern, but you are my concern. Now let's talk about their delivery. And remember, a mediocre speech supported by all the power of delivery will be more impressive than the best speech unaccompanied by such power. Meaning, own it, evaluation team. Let people know you believe what you believe. You could be wrong, but believe it. You will get a better response from the audience in what you say than if your delivery is not strong. This helps you to understand that whether it's a speaker or an evaluator, deliver it strongly. Finish strong, as I said on the other slide, that's about delivery. Now, when you think about the language, was the language that the panelist used informative? And same for you. Was the language precise, grammatically correct, and vivid? Same for you. Was the delivery of the panelist natural and spontaneous? Same for you. And did it reinforce the ideas of the panel topic? Now that's a tricky one, maybe for the evaluator, but you've got to be listening to the overall theme. Remember, if you provide something that is not helpful because it feels off topic or doesn't address, that might not be as memorable. So keep the panel topic in mind. Think about how you incorporate this. Now the vocal delivery. Was the enunciation clear? We have people from all over the world, and I love that. And what we need to do is help people clearly enunciate in whatever language they're speaking. I think sometimes Americans can get kind of sloppy, and they're gonna say something rather than going to say something. So think about enunciation. How was the volume? Now this is a panel, so you might say the third panelist was quieter than the other two. So you could consider comparing that if that's the case. And did the speaker, yours specifically, especially, have sufficient variety in rate, pause, and pitch? And then their physical delivery. Now we're on Zoom, but you can still display poise and confidence on Zoom. Did you see that? Were their gestures varied, and were their movements motivated and their eye contact direct? We play this game all the time. Here's my lens. That's where I'm looking. I'd love to look down here on the screen, but that's not where y'all are. You're looking at me, looking at you, looking at me. So how did they do with their eye contact? Not easy to do, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But you want to see what's their consistency, be off camera or on camera. And finally, if they used notes, were they an unobtrusive part of their delivery? Meaning they have notes, but you're not seeing them. They're not in the way, or I'm not spending all my time looking at my notes. For instance, I'm not using any notes for this, except that I noticed when I recorded this, it covers part of my slide for me. And I don't want to make up what it says there, so I printed out the 2 pages where that happens so I can see these final lines. Nothing wrong with notes. It's how you use them that matters. Now these are the areas I want you to consider for this panel workshop. 5 areas to consider for this evaluation, overall, and then specific to your panelist. I'll make sure that you get the name of your panelist, contact them. Remember, ask them, what are they looking for? But beyond that, was the panel a cohesive discussion, and how did your speaker participate? Because we are as strong as our weakest link. And when you deliver a panel discussion and you're a moderator, the moderator must be strong, the panelists are strong, or someone kind of stands out. Well, that's lovely, but we want everyone to stand in their greatness. It's not about a competition, but about a strong panel that adds value. What was the audience's reaction to your speaker? Now again, you're going to be quite busy, but you can, if you have it on gallery view, you can see what people are doing while your speaker is speaking. Did the speaker hold their attention? If you notice people stop looking, listen up. What was happening right then with the speaker? Did they fumble? Did they say something that didn't make sense? People don't automatically look away, but unconsciously they might. So if you can keep track of that, that would be great for your speaker. And how did your speaker demonstrate logos, ethos, and pathos? 3 of my favorite Greek words, which I will discuss in a moment just for a little more time. And did your speakers use any analogies, metaphors, or similes? Again, which I will make a delineation for you. And then again, name no more than 2 things your speaker could do better, how to do them better, and why it matters. If you don't, your speaker will say thanks a lot, but if you can say, listen, when you make a really important point and you end on a pitch that's high, and you say, we must stop trafficking of young children, do I believe that? Versus, we must stop trafficking of young children. Heavy subject, I know. Yet, when I say it with my pitch and how I said it, and the way we do that is this. That helps. Well, we can do the same thing in our evaluations. How will you deliver the evaluation in a way that helps your speaker become better for you? The 3 Pillars of Persuasion by Aristotle. Logos, ethos, and pathos. The logos helps establish the common ground with your audience because you're using coherence, facts, data, research that helps me understand that, okay, this is objective, you presented it, I understand it. Ethos is your credibility. You're showing me why I should listen to you. So you may have a great stage presence. You may be a great speaker, and you may be an authority on this. And when those things come through, you've established ethos with me, and I'm more likely to listen. And then pathos, that's the emotional piece. Use humor, vulnerability, metaphor, surprise, storytelling. That pathos is the emotional connection that you are creating with your audience. And in this case, you want to find out if your speaker is using any of these, and then be sure you know what the example is. Now, the difference between a simile, metaphor, and analogy. A simile is saying something is like something else. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's good old, what's his name? Can't believe I just forgot his name. Tom Hanks, but that's not who it is. You're all yelling at me right now. You're telling me who it is. Yeah, I know. It's that guy. I'm going to leave it right here. A metaphor is often poetically saying something. Forrest Gump. Going back. Can't go back. Forrest Gump said that. A metaphor is often poetically saying something is something else. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Thank you, William Shakespeare. Now, the world is not a stage, but metaphorically speaking, we can understand that if the world is a stage and we're all on it, we're all players. That's how metaphor is used. And finally, an analogy is saying something is like something else to make some sort of explanatory point. What you're doing is as useful as rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic. Sadly, as the Titanic was going down, way down, there was no point in arranging the deck chairs. And that's the idea of this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to arrange deck chairs when a boat is sinking, and that would be used to explain something maybe somebody's doing. So you're going to be looking for similes, metaphors, and analogies. And if somebody used life is like a box of chocolates, I only want to say, thank you, Forrest Gump. Here's my final thought. Practice makes permanent. So we're going to keep practicing this. That's what Masters of Evaluation is about. So here's what's next. When you've watched this, you're going to watch the panel discussion on the first Friday, and you're going to pay particular attention to your speaker, which I will assign, and you'll get with them if you can and find out what they're looking for. Then we'll hear from each of you as evaluators who will give 2 to 3 minute evaluations of a specific person, our moderator, and 3 panelists. Then, as general evaluator for the meeting, I will give feedback to you as my evaluator team. And then, please feel free to get back to me with your feedback on how well this training helped you, how well you thought you did in the meeting, and ways that you would like to improve. And always feel free to ask me any questions. And here I am, in the flesh, also in the picture. Took a picture today, obviously. Connect with me. Make sure we're connected professionally. This is important to me. There's my WhatsApp, my office number, cell phone, my website, my email, and my LinkedIn. As professionals, I want to be connected with you outside of Toastmasters, outside of Masters Evaluation, and mostly in life. Thank you, evaluation team. I so look forward to this day with you.